any minute now, but
Didn't he just park?
huh?
Didn't he park like 3 minutes ago?
He did. I expect people to park to like race themselves up the
All right.
stairs.
If he needs a door on that. Oh no, you got it.
There he is. Alan is not here yet, so that's all you if you want it. How's it going? Well, were you here? And yes, we are certainly a quorum. So I'll start here. Good evening, everybody. This is the regular monthly meeting of the Sustainable Rocky Hill Task Force. I officially call this meeting to order, and I'll start with a roll call. Alan Baglia is not present, but Egg Ciccarello is
Here.
present.
Yep.
I am present. I'm still. Robert Downs is present. Simon Kosar is present. Haritha Nagabandi is present. So we definitely have a quorum.
And Robert Downs is just going to go run to the bathroom really quick, but I'll be right back.
Robert Downs, remember to wash his hands. Great. Okay, so appointments and resignations. None. Although I will say that I saw at the town council that they have processed Sandy Kelly's resignation, and I have also formally submitted our letter of recommendation for a candidate for the task force. So the gears are in motion. So we start. This is obviously kind of an informal meeting, but we start opening the floor to public comment. And I see 2 members of the public here. If anybody wanted to bring stuff up or say something, now would be the time. Or you're also welcome to talk throughout.
I don't know anything yet, so just what I've read.
Yeah. Well, you are very welcome to attend, and this is the time we have for public comment.
Oh,
But
okay.
like, as we're discussing things, please both of you feel free to chime in.
The only thing I have to chime in with is this Friday I'm meeting with someone with the reuse community to think about a swap shop. And if we can get that to like an actual physical location, so if you have something on Facebook that you want to get for free, we can find a physical place that don't have to come to your house, or just find like. So we're gonna figure something out. This is still in the talking phase.
Excuse me for 1 second. Through you, I guess. Before you speak, would you say your name and your address?
An address.
Member of the public.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah.
My full address or just the street?
Your address in Rocky Hill.
Okay. Can I go
So-
with my nickname or full name?
Your full name.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'm using my middle name. Okay, so I'm Catherine Victoria Brand, and I'm at 14 Locust Circle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I'm going full formal, I'm going full.
Victoria.
Yeah.
Very formal.
Sorry to
And what is
It's fine.
what is a swap shop?
So if you go down to Middletown, there's a place called Reboot Eco, and the building next to it, it's like split in half.
What's the name again?
Reboot Eco.
Oh, rebooting.
One word. If it looks like you're in a municipal stadium, you're on the right spot. There's an old water treatment facility close by and a train station closer. So yeah, and it's a refill station and a swap shop. Basically, you drop something off, like donate clothing, like a toaster that kind of works. You leave something and you can pick something up. Yeah.
It's awesome.
We might learn a decent amount about the community, but I don't feel it's gonna be an issue here.
And Kat, you and I, Catherine Victoria, you and I spoke a little bit about this and just said like, there's related communities in Rocky Hill. There's the Buy Nothing community.
Yeah.
So this whole idea of taking something that otherwise would end up in a waste stream and reusing it or repurposing it, or somebody else, somebody's treasure is your trash. This very squarely fits within sustainable CT's framework. So
And if you can make it into like partial mending, like you can use parts from something that kind of works. You can find it there.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of your Smucker's jar lid.
Yep. Yep. So this is lovely. I'd love to hear about the outcome of this conversation, and if you feel like organizing it, let us know. We'll support. Very good. Okay.
I'd like to add something to the agenda, if I may.
Please.
I'd make a motion if we add after on subcommittee reports It would be letter E, action 5.4, assess climate vulnerability.
Thank you. Do I have a second for that motion? Aretha? Discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, it's added to the agenda. Thank you. Great. Well, I would like to move on to the next section, which is actions taken, minutes for approval. I think we have, all of us, access to the minutes prepared by Robert. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Okay. Second. Discussion.
Yeah, just real quick discussion. I know we're working on getting them up on the website, so you can do that right now. I can send them the whole package so we get those up as soon as possible.
Yep.
Wonderful.
I'm gonna try to get anything remaining up tomorrow.
Cool.
So hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow I'll have most, if not all of it up.
Great.
And what's the ideal format to send to you, Jason? Is like a PDF usually what I see on the
Yeah,
documents on the
PDFs
Mac?
are usually what's used, but you can send me anything. I can convert anything to a PDF.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Great.
So Jason, you actually put them on the website yourself?
I have an admin in my office that can do some of that. She's been out a couple of days this week, so I haven't asked her, and I was out a week before that. But I'm hoping I might be able to get access to that myself. That way I can kind of keep things off her desk and just kind of keep moving if I can.
Wonderful.
And if not, then we'll see if we can get more people in the office and be able to do it.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be that hard to do. It's just a time commitment I haven't made yet.
Sure. Well, we're all looking forward to seeing the minutes because we've been meeting now for 8 months. Is that right? Since January. So we've got a lot of content to share with the community.
So if I can continue the conversation just a little bit more. So we have the minutes. They'll be up on our the town website soon. What customarily also happens is that there's another document called actions taken.
Yep.
And so will we begin to create that as well?
Some of them have already been made. I have more to make, but I was
Okay.
planning on getting those processed too. I don't know if I can do all of both of those items in one day. I'm going to try. Let's see how far I
Okay, so
get.
that is the plan.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep,
Beautiful.
absolutely.
And it's you who generates the actions taken.
Yeah, I was
document?
gonna do
Okay.
it.
Beautiful.
But
Thanks.
he actually did last month's.
Yeah.
So it did not require anything additional.
I can, if you want me to keep doing the actions taken, I can take that off your plate, or
So it's okay. I mean, it's something I should take on. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. You're always helping out so much, so at least I can do.
Well, very good. Okay. So, discussion complete. Move to a vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes as written?
Aye.
Okay. Unanimous. It passes. Lovely. So now we move on to the fun stuff, where we have report from the chair and subcommittee reports. And for the report from the chair, I might ask for the. Oh man, that's
That
fun.
was something. I thought
Thanks, Raymond.
Yeah, I had some visions of Harry Potter.
Okay. Probably should not be so excited about a presentation coming down, but I am. So, as you can see, slowly coming into view is a chart that shows our progress towards sustainable CT certification. The purpose of this task force is to get us as far along as a town through the sustainable CT framework. We are currently at bronze, and we are trying to get to silver. The next submission point for certification happens in the spring, and it looks, by my view, that we're in a healthy position to make it. So there's a line there that says silver, and in order to reach silver, thank you, we need to get enough items to turn green on this list, basically be submitted and accepted by Sustainable CT. And as you can see, out of all the items that we've already done, out of all the items that we are thinking of doing, if we put them all together, we should be comfortably past silver, 25 points beyond silver. So that isn't guaranteed. Of course, we'll have plenty of feedback during the certification process, and they may say, this event that you thought was, 5 points was actually not. So this is not a guarantee from them. This is just my own organizing document. This list has changed a little bit since last we presented. So at a recent town council meeting, and I anticipate that different subcommittees are going to be providing more detail on this. But at a recent town council meeting, there was a motion taken to create an affordable housing committee, an ordinance that would create an affordable housing committee. We have been making progress towards an equity statement. There's a composting campaign that many of us have been involved in. So there's quite a bit happening here. But this is our current status as far as our progress towards certification is concerned. Is there any questions from people in this group? Kat?
It says the Rocky Hill Farmers Market for this year is still prospective. When the last one finishes, will that become green?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question. Maybe I should have another color here to signify in progress, because a lot of these things, they're not just perspective, we're doing them, right? Look at that.
Is there a date when we want to submit it?
Yeah, so there are two, the question was, is there a date that we should submit? There are 2 submission points per year with Sustainable CT. One of them is in mid-August, the other is in mid-April. So I think it's April 14 is the deadline. I would like us to have our submission done by the beginning of April, because there's, as I understand, usually some back and forth about the items and requests for additional documentation and stuff like that. Very good. So this is where we are, and now to get more details on each of these little thin bar lines, we can go to the subcommittee reports.
What do we need for just? What do we need for gold? Is it 1,000?
750.
750. Okay.
We need 750, so an additional 225 points from what we have planned right now. And in addition, some critical things have to be done.
Okay.
So action 1.3, writing a statement on equity is a requirement for gold. I believe also pursuing a sustainability action with a neighboring municipality is a requirement for gold.
So maybe that's something we do, just to throw that out there. So once we get this silver package submitted, should we start looking at the required actions and
Yes.
pulling down on?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, at a certain point, it's no longer about numbers, but it's like specific actions that we take.
Cool. Okay.
Cool. Okay, well, let's get into subcommittee reports and get more details on what we've been doing. First on the list is Action 1.3, an equity statement. Simon, do you want to talk about this a little?
Yeah, we attended the town council meeting, and Derek and I, and was there someone else, or we spoke about, there was a detailed
Tom
presentation-
Kosker from
yeah,
the Commission on
there was
Inclusion
a
and Innovation.
detailed presentation from him, but we, as a sustainable Rocky Hill team members, we spoke about it and emphasized the need of adopting that statement.
Yeah, and it seemed to me that the outputs from that town council meeting is that the town council agreed that an equity statement was worthwhile. There was also a panel of other things from the commission, including some sort of a unity event. And what was encouraging to me is that the town council thinks that we can get this equity statement done by the end of the year. So they put a date on it. So it now goes back to the Commission on Inclusion and Innovation to draft a statement to give to the town council. And I wrote a follow-up email with the research that we had done so far about what is required from Sustainable CT, showed a couple of examples of what other towns have done, but hopefully this whole thing is driven not by what other towns have done, but by the survey that the Commission on Inclusion and Innovation has been distributing. So it'll be grounded in data.
will we get a chance to revise whatever they?
I have requested that we can provide feedback.
Okay, that works. Yeah.
So ultimately, it's their task to do, but Tom Kosker, who is the chair, has been very open to collaborating on it. So I don't think it'll be a problem. Action 7. Oh, any other details on this? No. Action 7.7. Implement a community energy campaign. Robert.
Yeah. So again, at this point, we have, I think, all the context that we want for the event. We're going to have. I still need to reach out from the Green Bank. We have someone from Eversource going to reach out to the Sierra Club. Because they were at. I'm going to see who else. Newington did a climate forum, broadly speaking. So I'll see who else they had there. Otherwise, I think we were talking about having Kim Ritchie as our town person, being that she's the town planner, and then maybe having some of our electeds there. Another thing I was just looking at was if we can get, UConn has their energy and elections lab, which focuses on local elections and what type of change that leads in terms of developing and implementing renewable energy sources, facilities, things of that nature. So I would like to get someone from that school, or from the school, from that lab involved with this too, because what am I trying to say? Adjacent from the electoral aspect of it, they also just focus on public opinion with these various different renewable energy sources, which would be beneficial. Just one more thing, I know because another big issue in Connecticut has been the police stops and racial profiling. One of the UConn public policy schools, the CTRPP, whatever the acronym breaks down to, I think it's Connecticut Racial Profiling Prohibition Project, there you go. They presented their data, so it was a data-driven led discussion. I think that could be beneficial since we effectively have the same resource for renewable energy in a local context. So that's what I'm thinking. At this point, just got to reach out to everyone. I'll reserve a room here with Rita in the community center. So that should take care of itself. It's just going to be a matter of scheduling after that point. So yeah, it should be it's in the works.
So this is really exciting. What were you thinking for in terms of time frame? Like October?
Yeah, if we could do, let's aim for like within the first 2 weeks of October.
Okay.
I was trying to think, because that way I can I'll move on it soon. I'll try to give everyone at least a month's heads up before it happens. Get the responses, work out the scheduling. Once I have people confirmed, we can work on questions for a panel to guide that discussion, and then we'll open it up to Q&A for the program.
And that was my other question. So what is the format? You're thinking it's going to be a panel discussion plus?
I think, yeah, just with that amount of speakers, a panel Q&A would work best. Yeah.
Okay. And the overall objective would be to raise awareness among Rocky Hill residents of?
Raise awareness among Rocky Hill residents about, just the benefits and implications of using more renewable energy, especially in our municipal buildings. And then if we're going to take the public policy angle of it too, and perhaps even to have our elected officials thinking about what gets them in office, to paint municipal renewable energy campaigns as something they need to prioritize and make policies for. So educational and for both the public and our officials.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you say you had Kim was going to participate, Kim Ritchie?
I haven't reached out to her about it, but that's what Derek and I were talking. I think that's the best town person to be our representative in terms of energy.
Yeah, right. We'd like somebody to describe and illustrate what we're doing already, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's the solar farm. Yeah.
Maybe next steps are, we could set up a list of like speakers that we'd like to invite in the topic that we'd like them to discuss. And we can run through that list saying like, okay, these are the people that we'd like to get to represent the town and others.
Cool. Yeah, I'll work on that. And get that out to I'll send it to you, Derek, soon, and we'll work on that.
Awesome.
Cool.
And I just want to note, we're joined by Alan.
Can I segue into apologies?
No worries. Welcome.
Yeah, just it's a lot of dates have been scrambled in my head. But if I didn't disrupt anything, and if you're at a subcommittee report C, I'd be happy to cover that.
Your timing is perfect.
Is that right?
We can wrap up B, just seeing if there are any other questions or comments from this group.
Were you able to get in touch with Tim Honan? I know
Yes.
that.
Yeah, I have his email contact, and he told me to call him whenever, so I
Okay,
just have to call
great.
him.
Awesome.
Wow, really? That's fantastic. I'm going to be a bit of a one-trick pony here on this task force, maybe, but we are looking at another public event. It's a skill set that I enjoy utilizing. A pumpkin smash is going to be organized for Sunday, November 5th. The reason it turns into a Sunday, we're hoping for a Saturday, but Lori Stanzik's team can't comply because there's a event on the 5th, the Saturday the 4th rather,
There's a Diwali event, right?
thank you, the Diwali event, and we don't want to have two events. Because then people will be torn between which one to attend. Nice thing about the Saturday event is that we could amplify our event there. Maybe we could come in with
Yeah.
leave-behinds and so on. But the second annual Pumpkin Smash will be on Sunday. The hope is to have that start at 11 and go until needed, but maybe say 3. Sundays in November are busy times for people, families and non-families. It's just a frantic time, but we think that we can get a tight 4 to 5 hours of this organization to collect pumpkins. And against my better judgment, I was thinking some other components to this event, but I really do think we keep it simple, stupid, and this is a pumpkin collecting event. There doesn't have to be music, there doesn't have to be food, there doesn't have to be... I saw something on Facebook about somebody offering to bring their pig to events. I'm like, maybe something like that would be kind of fun if we could get, because this is families, right? And so
Yeah.
petting, but again, simple, stupid pumpkins is the order of the day.
That was my nickname in college. No, I think that makes sense. Like I work with a lot of engineers, and they always say, well, what is the minimum version of the thing that you're
There you
looking
go.
for,
That's it,
right?
yeah.
And then you add on to it
Yeah.
once you get that,
Yeah.
right?
Well, to that, this is also, the compost turning is also a very big part of this.
Right.
In theory, we have to turn bin 1 to make it empty to collect the pumpkins, but at the same time, segue into something I'm going to do on September 22nd.
That's right.
I believe that's a Friday. That's going to be more of a preparing the grounds for this event. So to put it just briefly, having some of the grounds, I've not been a big part of this garden this summer virtually at all, but I do know there's some cleanup to be done and some organizing. You can create the space so it's a public space, so we can bring members of the public in, no tripping hazards, no discarded broken down boxes, no excessive weeding. So that'll be the 22nd, and perhaps I could ask for a motion to have this be a sanctioned Sustainable Rocky Hill event on September 22nd, so our comms can go to the town hall, and we can get members of the public, they can come out, they can come when they want, come and go as they please.
That makes sense to me. I'm sorry, was a compost turning part of the September 22nd?
That's
the compost
part and
turning.
parcel with what I'm calling preparing the space.
Absolutely. So that fits very cleanly into 9.4.
Correct.
Because it's education around
Yeah.
composting.
And to the November 5th, we don't want to have to be, scrambling days in advance. We want to have it
Yeah.
done, and on September 22nd, it's kind of done, and then about a month later, we go in and do the event. And a couple days prior, we go in and do some minor prep.
How many points do we get for this? Yeah.
Roughly speaking, 5 per education event. I think we max out if there are too many, so it's up to like 6 or 7.
Because you did a compost thing, right? Not too long ago.
Yeah. So we did
Is it annually 6 or 7?
I think
we
it's
could blow
annually.
past that. So in other words, maybe we could
Right.
buttress and then go some.
We did
following.
presentation
Is it
and we did
fiscal
the actual
year?
turning.
Yep.
So are those they're two separate events. So.
We can also get clever with it. I've told sustainable CT that we have these events, and they're like, well, you can have some events qualify as a compost education event, and then this could be another sustainability event under a different category. So
Yeah.
absolutely we should do it, and then we can figure out how to maximize the value.
When we count senior stuff, is that calendar year, or is there another fiscal year, or is there another year that, a 12-month period from the time we were formed? Although I think we're formed January 1, right?
It's a great question. Let me get back to you on it. I believe it's per calendar year.
Okay. Okay, that's all I
Going
have,
back
to
to
be
action
honest.
1.3, the rally that we had back in, I don't even remember when, at one of the correct.
Oh, at the correct school.
Yeah, so was that accounted for anything?
I haven't submitted it. The question is how would it work? 1.3 is explicitly about a statement for equity. So an event around equity doesn't fit into that category. But again, we can ask what the best fit for it is.
Yeah, because we did draft something, remember, around that time, and that's where I spoke of, from that statement.
Yes.
Derek, just for clarity, I'd like to, Janice, do you understand that these numbers all that we're saying, 1.2 and 7.4, these all relate to the sustainable CT actions that are, they're all online?
Well,
The-
those are the ones you're doing, but I imagine there's that template under what Connecticut has to do.
Is-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I read that. So we use their template and pull from that.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I just wanted,
Thank you.
I just wanted to make sure if you go to Sustainable CT and click on actions, you'll see 13 actions. And then we're all doing different actions. So sometimes we get into just the numbers, 7.4.
How much is
It's
this?
like, what is 7.4?
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
It's 7.4.
We're starting to know what they are, too.
Yeah.
Slowly.
So to loop it back around to the pumpkin smash, we did this last year. It was a lot of fun. People came with pumpkins that were very moldy because I think we did it like 2 weeks after Halloween.
We had
It was-
to push back, the first, again, it was Lori's inability. In fairness.
Doesn't
to her,
matter.
it was a
We
random
got
thing.
them mashed up
We had to
really
push
well.
back.
Yeah.
They were moldy.
The pumpkins were in a good state to be mashed. There was compost education there. Joe Lentini has offered or agreed to provide some compost bins as a part of the education component of this event, right? So this very squarely fits in the theme of teaching people how to compost. So both this and the compost turning event that Alan are talking about, I think, are great actions to take under 9.4.
Where is it?
At the IFPG.
You could throw a rock at it from here.
Food
It's
pantry
directly
garden.
between
gotcha. So it's right there.
the library.
Intergenerational Food
Yeah.
Pantry Garden, IFPG.
If you walk through the police department parking lot, instead of going sidewalk to the community center and take a right, you'll see this big open space, which is now formerly known as Brilliant Park, which is another great segue, but maybe we don't have time. But it's added as a name and a sign now, which is really exciting, so we can identify the location as IFPG at Brilliant Park.
So it's one word, it's one title.
It's the Intergenerational Food Pantry Garden,
Okay.
IFPG, at Brilliant Park.
Okay.
I'm not saying, trying to insult your intelligence by talking so slowly, but it is like really like, I
It's a little
stumble with it
academic.
every time I have to say it.
So you're asking for 2 motions, one for each event?
I think that would be appropriate, right?
Mhm.
That way we don't have to, that way again, I think it comes down to this being passed by this body so that we can give those comms to the town to put on to their formal task force website. Announcements and so forth.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Would you like to formally make these?
I would
motions?
like to motion to have Sustainable Rocky Hill Task Force support the 2 events, September 22nd compost turning event and the November 5th pumpkin smash event.
Do I hear a second?
I would second it, or you want, you could,
Fine.
but you want it support or produce? I mean, because we're really producing it, are we not? I mean, if we just supported it,
I don't have an opinion on those two words, whichever words you think. I will be there with a shovel.
In other words, Alan Bagley is not doing this by himself.
Absolutely
If you know, we came in to support it, we're
Yes.
not running it. But Sustainable CT is producing it. We are organizing it, we're running it. So now it's become a task force.
So, yeah, do you think produce is the standard? Produce, to me,
Organize.
It speaks of money, like production.
What about organizing?
Organize.
Organizing,
Yeah.
hosting.
Hosting.
Organizing and hosting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could
Does
be
that
yeah, thanks.
include advertising?
Yes,
Because
correct.
that's the point when the first thing that I ever did, that you guys ran, I think, and like I didn't even know it was happening. And I was like, oh, go down there, they're gonna be turning the compost. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Well, that's a really good, well, I don't mean to interrupt you, so when you're through, I have a comment. How do we
Word of
advertise?
mouth.
What are our,
Word
what
of
are our
mouth,
means
okay.
besides, well, last year it was so word of mouth only because it really came together very like short. The Cora Belden Library is actively involved and they'll put it on their newsletter. I'm not sure what their outreach is.
And
This year
then
the-
Lori's department, which is
Another
Human
another
Services and
tongue
Human
twister.
And youth,
What about your Facebook page now? The new one?
Yeah, Facebook
Yep.
page.
Facebook.
Yeah. So if we organize it, I think it goes out on
Yeah.
our usual communication channels, which includes Newsflash, and gets on the town calendar,
Yep.
our Facebook page, and then we can promote in our various circles.
Does it
Instagram.
show up on that nice, at the corner?
Just
The
scroll
electric
up.
sign.
Yeah.
Why not?
That's where I pumpkin smash.
I don't know how to get on that, but that would be
So-
awesome. Yes.
So that's not hard to do. Have you done it?
What's that, Jason?
The IT department.
The
Yeah,
IT
so
department.
there's a form that
Oh,
you just
oh.
fill out.
For non-technical people.
Yeah.
You're stuck in
Yeah.
traffic.
That little pixel, caused traffic jams. And I've said it before, it's on my list. I think we need a comms plan where if something happens, there's a checklist of like
Right.
Facebook, Instagram, Newsflash,
Exactly.
that little thing,
That can't
local
fall to
TV,
one person. It's
Right.
gotta be a kind of a
How about
group
the
effort.
railing?
the rare reminder.
Rare reminder, Rocky Hill Life, the press.
Patch.
Well, there's,
Is
I
that
mean,
still
these are all
around?
good ideas, but what's
That still
the
works.
carry out of these ideas? I mean, I could punch up a press release,
Mhm.
Derek can
Right.
proofread it. Is that something that goes around the whole group? And that, again, to Robert's points, is there something we can put in email? I don't think so. Or unless it goes just to the chair. And it
So
doesn't go
if we're
to
talking
form.
about promotion to the public, that doesn't fall into the terms of a public meeting, right? Like, we're allowed to communicate
Oh, I'm saying.
through this official channel.
We're not making a decision.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so if I'm going to, again, a press release, I don't know what the secret to unlocking Rare Reminder is, because I've contacted them about a number of things, I've never gotten any
Oh,
success.
yeah. Well, we don't
But
have control of
If we
that.
have a press release that would go ostensibly to Rare Reminder and Rocky Hill Life, well, I would want to have somebody's eyes on it, make sure it reads well and stuff, so that would be me to a chair or me to, not to the
Yeah.
whole task force email group, just to the chair.
To the
Okay.
chair.
To me.
Copy Jason and Robert, it's what I normally
Right.
do,
Yes.
secretary
Right.
and stuff, okay,
Yep.
that sounds great.
Absolutely.
I'll
Okay.
work on that in due course.
All right, so if that's all understood, we've had discussion, are we ready for a vote? All in
Just-
favor?
Yeah, maybe just to rephrase it that way, there was a
Go for it.
somewhat friendly amendment, I think. Just a motion to have Sustainable Rocky Hill Task Force organize and host a September 22nd compost turning party and a November 5th pumpkin smash event.
Excellent. So,
Retroactive second.
do we need
No.
to vote on a friendly, a self-amendment? No?
No.
Okay.
It's all in favor.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, passes. Very exciting. I had a lot of fun at the last year's, and I'm looking forward to another one. We have another item under 9.4, which is the crowdfunding campaign. And Raymond, can I ask for? Perfect, thank you. So, you will recall that in a previous session, the task force authorized me to lead an effort to do a crowdfunding campaign around composting, unlocking composting for Rocky Hill. Our target was to get $2,100, and that money would be matched with an additional 50% by Sustainable CT in form of a grant of $5,000 and some change. That grant would be spent on some sort of incentive for residents to get access to Blue Earth composting, a 6-month service where a local B Corp based in Hartford will come, pick up food scraps on probably a bi-weekly basis, and take them away, and also, after a period of time, deliver compost to the service taker, the customer. Our goal was to get to 2,100. As you can see on this display, we have passed that goal. We're at 2,210, and this is, just we have 19 days left in the campaign. So that's great. That's plenty of room still to grow. We've unlocked the stretch goal of $4,200, which would enable us to reach 100 homes. And we're going to just keep on going until we run out of time or people get tired of giving us money. So this is a success. We have met our target for raising money. And while we still have 20 days left in the campaign, we can start thinking about what the next steps are, how we're going to promote this to the town. The money will go towards a raffle that anybody who is a resident of the town can access, as long as they're not being covered by some other composting service. The raffle is available to anybody. There'll be a random selection. The trick is, how are we going to organize this raffle, and how are we going to promote the raffle? And that is what I'm hoping to have a little bit of a discussion on right now. Who do we want to raise awareness to? What is the mechanism that we're going to make the raffle happen?
I have a quick idea. I had a lot of success with something called Note in a Backpack, which is something you do to elementary schools. If the school
Open
is,
backpack?
Note in the backpack.
Note in backpack.
If the school is okay with this in theory, you talk to a principal or a school organizer, and the note goes into the kids' backpack, and the kids get home, and the parents open the backpack to get their lunch bag out, and there's a note that says, hey, we're having a raffle. And it's super cheap, and it's extremely direct. It costs the cost of printing paper, but then you have to sort of, looking at you as an elementary school father, so perhaps, is it West Elm?
Yeah, my child goes to West
Might
Elm.
be the best one. It seems kind of biased, but it's a way to reach people.
I was thinking also the library would be
Yep.
an interesting partner. Like we could have drop your name in they do a bunch of raffles.
To me, it sounds like we have to do the whole town.
Mm-hmm.
We have to think equitably.
Mm-hmm.
So, not only West Hill, but all the schools, if we're going to do the schools. And, Jessica is a great contact in regards to composting already, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we can connect with her if we wanted to get the schools. Schools are one thing. The Parks and Rec has a great outreach. Alan already mentioned Cora. Town Council, it should be on the mayor's report.
That'd be
I
great.
mean, it really needs to be everywhere.
Senior center.
For us, this is drumming up something huge, and it's a celebratory thing. We should have a big drum roll when we do it, and get the compost king and queen to pick them. Anita being the compost queen. I don't know who the compost king is. Maybe Alan is the.
She's Queen Regnan. She's like Victoria.
We just have the queen then.
Yeah.
Compost queen can pick, or whomever. I mean, just
I
make
think
it.
the mayor would pick.
Make a thing out of it, but there's 50, so.
Yeah.
That's
a kind of
maybe Derek, you and your technologically, maybe, if we somehow put all these names or numbers in somewhere in digitally, and then they all pop
Oh,
up.
I don't know, I think
The
bingo
balls.
balls.
Bingo ball, yeah. I mean, all
Can we
the-
do
yeah.
a TV, like the local TV, have like the balls in the machine?
Yeah.
You know, I've just contacted with Michael O'Toole. Michael O'Toole
Who's
from
Michael O'Toole?
RHCTV. He came and he recorded the songs about Rocky Hill a couple weeks ago. Marvelous job, and I'm talking to him about videotaping other things. He's very amenable to it. He hasn't said no yet. So I'm thinking, would you like to do that, Mike? Yeah, I'd love to do that.
But this is historical, so the first time the town of Rocky Hill has potentially a composting service curbside, so wouldn't that usher in the Historical Society, get hosted there? I mean,
Yeah,
maybe that's
come
more
in.
work, but.
Yeah. We're welcoming, and we're welcoming Blue Earth into town, and that's another sort of another aspect
They
to
have
another
ideas.
perspective.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
I wonder if the Chamber of Commerce might be.
Chamber in contacting Blue Earth, they need to be here somehow,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
If you're
Sam
including-
King can pull the balls out of the
If you're
machine.
including the library and the
How fun.
communities, or Parks and Rec, could include the community center too?
Yep.
Because that has senior
Gina.
centers.
Gina?
Yeah.
Maybe like a celebration,
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
and then
We need to do more of those.
Absolutely.
In general.
More celebrations. yeah.
Absolutely.
When I was at the farmer's market, someone had mentioned that they were expecting more of like a county fair feel. I'm like, it's scaled down, but it's the same feel.
Yeah.
It's like once a year county fair, maybe.
Um,
Do you have a date, do you think, so this is going to end in 19 days, where we will be in September. Do we have a date that we want, will it start in January? When will it start?
It's up to us. I didn't want to get too far ahead of I didn't know that the campaign would be successful, so I didn't want to start putting too much into motion. If we wanted to, we could start promoting the raffle now, right, and start getting names. We could wait until the end of the campaign to, we could do the planning phase now and then unleash it all at the end of the planning campaign, or the campaign, so that would be September 12th. And the benefit of waiting a little bit would be that we would know how many houses that we would reach, right? It might not just be 50, it could be 60. And then I'm thinking that the awareness raising campaign, to be equitable to your point, Ed, should probably have a long period of time for people to get to be aware of it, right?
Yeah.
So maybe a month
Yeah.
of awareness
Agreed.
raising.
Yeah.
So
Brings us into October.
brings us into October, maybe
So,
November
November.
1.
Well, wait a minute, what about the Smash? Have an announcement there, now it is a celebration, but then it's weather dependent, and that's a little dicey. Because if it's cold and rainy,
Well,
not to say that it will be, but it creates another sort of
It's an option.
factor.
maybe the Smash could be the announcement point.
Then we need PA, don't we, or, I mean, again, back to the simple.
Yeah. So
Something
maybe
to thought.
maybe we need to think a little bit more about the
Absolutely.
timing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this is a great list to start with.
Yeah.
And I think, let's see, our next meeting will be sometime in September. So
Yeah, you'll firm
I'll
it up
have
a
a
little bit
proposal
more
then.
by then.
Okay.
You'll have some more ideas.
I mean, this just might be way off base, but we got about, I guess, $400 less than what the whole entire Cedar Hollow campaign got. So seeing that this is successful, I don't know. Would we want to promote? I understand we want to promote this as much as we can, but since we've met our goal and we're already asking people for money, can we rope that into? Just
you're referring to the homeowners recovery fund for
Yes.
Cedar Hollow.
Yeah, I think it got like $2,600, and then it kind of just says stalled.
I don't know.
I mean, that's like totally not related to this either, but I was just thinking since it is a successful crowdfund, and that $2,600 can buy you what, like a water heater, like so,
Yeah.
So I mean, just to clarify, are you saying the amount above $2,100 to
No,
take that?
we don't do anything. Anyone who wants to donate to this keeps donating to this. I'm just saying in terms of how we promote this, if we could promote both concurrently.
We can certainly, okay, so
Oh, I
the,
see what you're saying.
in the broadest sense, what can we do? We need to be able to articulate that something fits within the sustainable CT framework.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I don't know, it might be a resiliency question if the issue is about, flooding due to extreme weather events, maybe. Maybe you and I can talk a little bit more about that offline and figure out what fits.
I think it is a separate, it would be a separate
Yeah,
action,
totally
yeah.
separate,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exciting stuff.
Very exciting stuff, and thanks all for brainstorming on this issue. Raymond, I'm done with this presentation. Thank you very much. Looks like magic. All right.
You didn't point to it. did you?
Action 11, healthy, efficient, and diverse housing. Ed, we've got some updates here.
Yeah, I do. Before we go to that, is there any update in regards to the town, in regards to the composting and?
Yeah, not much of one, but at the last town council, so that's August 21st, Ray Carpentino, as a part of the town manager's report, said that they are in the final stages of back and forth with, I believe it's Deep, that the ball currently lies in Deep's court for the grant that Rocky Hill will receive. For the first time, I heard a number value, and apparently the grant will be about $200,000. So less than the initial proposal for a smaller scale, which is 400 houses.
Mm-hmm.
So he says that they're in the final stages, and they hope to hear back within the coming weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Housing.
Okay. So affordable housing, the action number is 11.1.2.3. I presented to the town council at their Monday meeting. They had a public hearing to create a affordable housing committee. And I went as I represented us, Sustainable Rocky Hill, and I gave them some numbers and some actions, and I just want to share that with you all. You know that our goal in town is to have 10% affordable housing. What does that mean, though? How many dwellings do we have? Who keeps track of that? So there's something called the Connecticut Appeals List, and on that appeals list, it lists how many dwellings, how many of them are affordable. So the current one is we have 8,843 dwellings, and with a total of 454 of them are affordable housing, and that gives us basically 5.13%. Now,
800, 400?
8,843.
843, wow.
So, remember the goal is 10, so we're underneath 10. So, Sustainable CT asks us to look back in 5 years. So I did, and you can easily look at all the appeals lists. And so we have increased from like 4.87 to 5.13. And every 1/4% that we go up, we get 10 points. So we've achieved 10 points in our baseline. So I'll share with you how many, all the points I think we have for affordable housing. But there are three projects that are that have already been approved: Kelson Row, Stepney Place, and Vessel. These are all going to have affordable housing components. So Kelson Row is going to have 22 affordable housing apartments. Stepney Place is going to have 33, and the Vessel project is going to have 62. No, that's wrong. 29, I think it was. Yeah, that's wrong. 29. Yeah, 29. So which brings us up to 516, which would increase us to 5.16, which would get us another 10 points. But I guess my question is these things are already approved, but do we have to wait for the Connecticut Appeals List to recognize them, or not? I mean, I could prove to, when we go to seek our points. So anyways, I believe we should have 20 points right now for an increase from, like 4.87 to 5.60. Five, yeah. So that being said, the other thing that we are going to be getting points for is for the creation of the Affordable Housing Committee, and we get 10 points for that. The Affordable Housing Committee was created, but it's not going to be staffed for at least another month. So, because I understand that it's got to go into the newspaper, it's got to be publicized for 30 days. Then after that, it's got to be staffed. So that would be 10 points. And then the other points we would get was the distribution of the actual plan. And I talked to Kim Ritchie just recently, and we'll be able to get 5 points for that. So it's a total of, I'm looking at 35 points for us in regards to affordable housing. And there's 4 of them that I already asked permission to go to planning and zoning to discuss with them. So, I'm looking to get more. There's a possibility of getting 65 more points, but that's all about regulations. We have to go in and, I have to talk with planning and zoning, and we have to see if we can tweak their regulations in regards to that.
Are there actions that we can take, like the Affordable Housing Committee? They're looking for members, right? Can we promote
Correct.
that?
Yes. We're gonna definitely have to promote that without a doubt, and try to get that staffed as quickly as possible. So to that end, what I'll do, I'm pretty sure that they're gonna require an application. Now I'll speak with Kim, and I'll see if if they're ready, if they got the application, and if they have the application, then we could already begin to do that, create a publicity, to create a campaign to that end.
Maybe that's something that we can take a vote on for an action, so that once the application becomes available, we can promote via our communications channels.
That sounds great, yeah. So I guess I'll say, I'll make a motion to speak to Kim Ritchie to move forward the application, and to be able, for sustainable, to be able to create a campaign to fill that Affordable Housing Committee.
Okay. Second? Aretha? Discussion? All in favor? Great.
Aye.
Passes. Any other actions or anything you want to say?
No,
about that?
no, thank you.
Great. I recognize that we are at the original time, so I will be brief. Action 5.4, which is about climate resiliency. I actually brought this as an item to the task force a long time ago, before we were even formally a task force. And it fell off my radar for some time, but it's back. Action 5.4 is about doing planning around climate vulnerability. What the action consists of, there's a nonprofit called the Nature Conservancy that hosts a workshop that is made up of about 50% of town staff and town residents, maybe about 20 people. And you go through, as a group, the town's vulnerabilities and its strengths. And the output of this workshop is a plan that TNC prepares for municipalities. It's a document that feeds into other planning documents that the town makes. And Jason knows more about this than I do, but if projects get done within the town of Rocky Hill, it's the result of a plan. This document would feed into the planning processes of the town, including our plan of conservation and development, which is being rewritten. We need to do it in 2025, right? and something called the hazard mitigation plan, which I don't know as much about.
I don't know much about those myself, actually.
Okay.
But we do have an environmental specialist who knows a little bit more about that than me.
So the proposal, if we were to go forward with this, there would be a workshop. And Jason, the numbers are smaller than I initially thought. It is a 1 3-hour workshop, all online, consisting of town staff and members of the community. So, Jason, I have a question to you about, like, do we think that there is interest in this from the town
I think
level?
there's definitely interest. When you first proposed it, the idea was either 1 8-hour session or 2 4-hour sessions. And to take, a large chunk of town staff, and select town staff,
Yeah.
put them in a room for 8 hours is really difficult to do because of the amount of other things that they need to be involved in. So I was, like, my first thought was maybe we need to break it down into smaller modules. They could be presented at different times, over a short period of time. So
Yeah.
it feels like it has a flow and continuity to it. But a 3-hour workshop definitely sounds like something town staff would be able to get involved in.
Cool.
And then it would just be a question of which type of staff members you'd like. We have managers, we have directors, right down to laborers and skilled technicians. So, I assume that you'd probably want some sort of broad swath so that we can start exposing staff members to this type of stuff as quickly as possible with the hope that it spreads and maybe continues with more training in the future. I think it would be a good idea, and then that could be something that we could work into our training program going forward.
Fantastic. Yeah, so when I asked who should be here, I got a long list of potentials, including Department of Public Works, engineering, planning, finance, both at the high level, but also staff members are good for this. And then at the community level, local faith organizations, farms, employers, a local land trust, so a GMCT, Great Meadows Conservation Trust might be handy here. There's a list of potential people that we could reach out to. Well, if you do think that there may be interest from staff, the first step in this process is getting a signed letter from a representative of the town, and ideally it's either the town manager or the mayor, saying we commit to doing this in the next year. And they provided a template to us. So I could rework that template and submit it to the town council when I present to them. And by the way, I have an update on that when we get to that point.
Who are the modules made by?
I'm sorry?
Who are the modules made by? Do you know?
Who are the modules?
The Nature Conservancy.
Oh, the Nature
Okay.
Conservancy. Yeah.
Okay.
It's organized by the Nature Conservancy.
Okay, so they make it, then they send it out to the town staff, and then they get treatment, basically.
Yeah, so they host. It's kind of on the organizing group, which would be us, to get butts in chairs. And so we would invite people, and they would do the facilitation.
Okay.
It's all online though, right?
It's
Did you
all
say?
online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you expand a little bit on, I don't know if it's 5 point what is it?
5.4.
Could you expand a little bit as to what climate vulnerability is?
Yeah.
Is that what the title is?
Yes. So the definition that's provided here is assess your community's vulnerability to the primary effects of climate change, like coastal and
okay.
riverine
All
flood
right.
risk, sea level rise, and extreme temperature. And as you all remember, July was nationally and also in Rocky Hill the hottest month in 10,000 years. We had multiple times when we activated the cooling centers for the town. And of course, there was historic flooding in the Great Meadows, which resulted in significant loss to people who were farming there. So this is one reason why it came up again.
A very, very tiny aside to all of this, and I just saw today that Parks and Rec is, or town manager is going to bring up the idea of building pickleball courts at Elmridge Park, but also buried into that proposal are rain gardens. And I thought,
That's great.
we latch onto these rain gardens, and we saw, I didn't do enough research
I
between.
think that was part of zoning.
Could be zoning, yeah, okay. And it was,
Please don't
whatever
rush
came
it.
today.
Alan, where did you see this? This was town manager's report?
No, the email that I get that is automated through the town for upcoming events. I should say events. I'll tell you what, I'll just give you literally what it said. It's an email from Town of Recky Hill, Open Space and Conservation Commission agenda, September 13th, 2023. Included a blurb about pickleball courts, because I guess that's open space.
Could I pause this actually, because we have a member that needs to go, and there is a question about
Yeah,
timing
please.
for meetings.
So maybe just put a pin in the rain garden conversation.
I'm
for another
super
time.
interested in it,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sorry, but I have to leave.
You have to leave now, okay. We don't need to determine the next meeting date. We can keep our provisional meeting date of September 28th. However, we do have some difficulties in the coming months because people's schedules have changed as a result of school. I think we can anticipate having a discussion about this over email, and I checked. We can talk about the timings of meetings without it being a FOIA violation over email. So
We can talk about the dates, the times, and the durations.
timings, it's all relevant
All
for
fine, as long as it doesn't
for
say
informing the public about
comments.
when to show up for a public
Sounds
comment.
great.
So that was in our training.
Thank
So,
you.
welcome back, Haritha. Great to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. I would love to hear more about that.
Just broad strokes, that if the town is planning and building a rain garden on a public space like Elmridge Park, I think it's really notable. And we should look into finding out how big it is, what the environmental benefits of these are. I'm
Yeah.
somewhat familiar with.
Yeah.
I can forward some information to
Yeah.
the group.
I'd be
We
curious
have
to
a
see.
proposed plan that shows the location of the rain garden. The pickleball courts are proposed to be in the grass just north of where the skate park used to be. So that area, I think they would like to use as a parking lot in the future, because the skate park has been removed at this point, and it's the grass that's just north of it, and that's where they'd like to have the courts. And to the right side of it, so if you were heading towards the dog park,
Yep.
that's where they'd like to have the rain garden, so kind of like immediately adjacent to the court space.
Cool. It takes water that's coming off that ridge.
So basically, the courts are pitched towards the rain garden.
Got it.
So the water that comes off the courts during storms flow to that location. And it's a series of decorative plantings that help put it back into the soil and
Native plants?
native plants. Yeah.
Native plants, if it
Attractive
falls
one.
under, if any of them are pollinators, then that can get us points under the
I
pollinator.
think we discussed that during our meeting, actually. The word pollinators came up.
Pollinators.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is
Yeah,
good.
because we passed the pollinator policy. Pollinator policy.
I
Say that
happy
twice.
about that.
Yeah,
Last year or
that's
so.
312 enhanced pollinator pathways.
Right.
Yeah, and different
Wetland
town
to
groups
wetland,
will have to vote on different
wildflowers.
aspects of it. The size and shape of that rain garden could potentially change as a result of
Okay.
what might be needed. Very well could change its shape or become larger.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's an open space then. So I'm assuming that it's also going to be at Parks and Rec, the Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, because I haven't heard it quite yet. I knew the pickleball courts were going in, but
And they would love to get started on it as soon as possible.
Great.
Oh, I have one add-on to it. Have you guys consulted the Natural Resources Conservation Services, their statement?
About that project?
Yeah, about the project or any type of planning, like even for the farmers, they can help out with that for, I don't know, better equipment kind of, or better practices.
Yeah, I mean, we've looked at certain things with that. We don't stay in regular contact with that. With that group, but certainly we look at the data that they provide a lot in terms of reviewing future developments, and we actually have applied for a grant with them about a year ago that we're still waiting on some feedback on about Dividend Pond, trying to do some dredging on Dividend Pond, because it's about
Upper pond or
4
lower?
feet of material in the upper pond. And then with hopes that we might be able to, as part of that grant, also be able to do some work to get access to that pond. So I think there's some stairs there that can use some repair, and there's a stone dam that's in rough shape. And I think we'd like to possibly do some revetments on that as well. But it's been over a year, and I haven't gotten a lot of feedback, other than saying that a grant is expected to come. And so
Could you
that's
ask for
something
like a
I'd love to-
consultant to come out to help out, or is
That's
that something-
ultimately we'd end up hiring a consultant after getting the grant to prepare
Oh, okay, so it's
plans
part of
and
it.
scope for a project. Yeah, I don't. We can do a certain amount of that in-house, so we would probably try to do as much as we can in-house to offset the cost.
Gotcha.
But there are certain aspects of it, the permitting and things like that, that maybe we'll want to have a specialist.
Okay, cool.
Let's talk offline about dividend. I have a lot of information. Well, I want to make sure you have it,
Sure.
you know, so.
If that's all, let's move on to 8, report to town council. Just an update, I will be speaking to the town council on September 18th. Yep. And the scope is the one that was authorized by this group before, a list of our past actions, our current status under the Sustainable CT framework, and recommended steps to take, such as, for example, signing off on that community, the climate resilience work, and some of the other things that we have in mind. And what will be nice is that it's dedicated time so they can ask questions and we can answer. This will be the first time that we formally report to the town council, so
Great.
it's good to happen.
That's great.
We already discussed discussion of new business timings of meetings, which is to say we're going to discuss it over email and find a time that works for everybody.
The length of meetings, though, have we agreed upon not an hour at this point, or?
We can include that in the discussion. I know some people have to drive, some people have dinner. Jason has to drive across state lines, and I don't want us to go too long.
Don't worry about me too much.
Okay.
You guys do what you need.
So, this event ended up going 75 minutes, and we are usually closer to the 80-minute mark, so maybe some flexibility would be okay. But that's up for discussion, yes.
Up to 7 o'clock should be, if you can go, that's like the cutoff, like no later than 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
Yeah,
I have
yes
some
and no.
flexibility.
Yes and no, but I think that if there's a quorum and there's enough people in a quorum that are here and willing and able to carry on, I don't think there's, someone's made a joke about midnight or something. But I think if there's Robert brought this up, if there's not a quorum, that's a different thing. We can't make motions, we can't vote, so what's the point of being here? That's just all offline anyway.
I agree, and
I gotta
these,
get set up.
Yep.
for the
Okay.
next
Sure.
meeting, is that
Yeah.
okay?
yeah, and there's a lot
What
of pressures for
What
this
time
sort of
is your
thing.
meeting?
7?
Yeah,
Mhm.
we'll be out of
There's
here.
an excellent point, there's a 7 o'clock meeting, we certainly can't, inconvenience them for the sake of some
That's right.
conversation that can be pushed
But-
to another day.
Most of the time when you guys have had meetings, it's been open.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
It's
the first
been open.
the first meeting there was something right behind us, and then tonight there happens to be something behind us.
Yeah, we're the third Thursday, the Board of Ed is the third Thursday of every month, so
Look at
at
that.
7 o'clock.
Okay, so thank you, this is helpful.
So
We need
Just
more
the
of this
last-
stuff.
Just not in the summer.
We're the fourth
Just
Thursday.
not in the summer, yeah, well, actually, just July, August.
Oh.
This one happens to be the 4th, but that's because of school, the way
Yeah.
school started.
No worries.
Everything else, we're usually the third unless it's otherwise noted.
I agree with Alan. I don't know that there should be any time limit, the meeting should resolve on its own volition. If people need to leave early, I think they should tell the chair,
Okay.
and then we should plan accordingly. But it'd be best if you could tell the chair at least the day of, if not the day
Yeah.
before.
That sounds reasonable to me. So I'll start a thread that Haritha can participate in, so that she can be a part of this discussion as well. But we'll try to find a time or a day, and we'll explore going longer than an hour. Let's go until the issue is resolved. Maybe we'll put an extra cap at like 7 o'clock.
I think that we're all getting much more familiar with these actions
Right.
and the protocols
Yeah.
and the motions, so I think we're gonna start to be more efficient over time. Any length to 80 minutes is probably because of stalling, because we don't know how to do something, or what was that action number again?
But, you know, if there is a topic and we start brainstorming like we did with your, with the campaign, then, we gotta let it be. We gotta be creative.
I agree. I just want to maximize everybody's ability to participate, but it seems like there's flexibility here.
Yeah, and if we need to meet at another time, that's fine. Maybe that's where if it's 7 is too late, we need to meet at, I don't know, people could meet earlier, but that's for our email,
Indeed.
Indeed.
And just final thought on this is, do the bylaws say that we can have a special meeting?
Yes.
If something is
We can.
truly.
We haven't used that lever, but we can certainly pull it whenever we need to. All right. Well, with that in mind, let's move to adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
We'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you again, everyone. Apologies for my tardiness.
Ah,
Don't worry.
glad you can make it. Oh.